I've been doing a little bit of research in the last couple of days into AI generated art. Now, the reason I wanted to look into this is because, like we've said on the show before, about creativity and about how what is sort of quite unique to the soul is that it can create, and we can create art, music. But there's this big thing that artists are now getting scared of AI created art. So I thought we'd have a look at some. Okay. Now, this is what was typed in. I don't know which engine this was. Someone typed in the last selfies before the end of Earth, and they came up with this. Right, so this is all generated from just typing a sentence into like a search bar, and then Al Gore searches the internet.
This is what he gives you back.
Yeah. The photo on the left looks like someone that used to be on the show. So.
Yeah.
So we've got this post-apocalyptic
about talking about this.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay, that's interesting. So I don't know if you showed any of the examples. This is another quite a famous example that's been, I don't know what was typed in to get this, but, obviously you can type in a kitten or a dog or something like that doing whatever you want and it'll come up with it. But it's been creating some really interesting stuff, this one as well. Very sort of biblical, fallen angels type of stuff.
Why would they need to do this though, Lance? Why would they need to do this? I mean, I know it's an hypothetical. I'm answering the question. It's rhetorical, but
Well, I suppose it for creators, you could argue that. You could use it in the same way that you use AI to write sort of short news blurbs that you just don't need a human to do. I don't know. Maybe it could create adverts and stuff like that.
Well, there's something that no one's talking about, and it's AGI, which is artificial general intelligence, or the baby.
I've heard that term.
Yeah, so we're looking, like I already mentioned, at the kind of low end of it. So you've got your autocorrect, auto-suggestion, and the power of association. Blockchain, crowd economy, as an example. What I predict will happen is that we'll start to see AI will start bidding for jobs. Things like reading, drawing, translating, mapping, searching. I mean, it's already happening. This is already taking place.
It's already editing videos as well. You can edit a whole video with AI.
I don't think we're quite at the stage yet of AI. I think we're still at the AGI level, and that will be the foundation for the AI. Once we hit or we get very close to the singularity.
Yeah. Because someone has to type in a command to get these pictures, right? So you go into the website and you type in the command, and then Al Gore works away with what you've said. Now, I've done a couple of experiments, right? So I found a site and I typed in the takeover of the Soviet Union, right? And the first one came up with these images. I'll just make them full screen because this is quite interesting. They're not very high definition. You've got to pay for the better ones.
Love magenta there.
It's like cyberpunk.
Yeah, but look at this character here. It looks a little bit like Donald Trump.
Yeah, it does.
Dressed as like a town crier or something, right? So these are the least interesting ones. They get better, right? This one, in the same engine, I typed in the Greta reset, and it came up with this.
Wow.
Yeah, I mean, on its own, this is actually quite a good piece of art. I mean, I don't know. Yeah, it's very abstract, but it's pretty good. This was the Greta reset.
Can anybody find a video of Alexa? Somebody asked the question of Joe Biden falling off his bicycle, and it gives a very interesting response.
Oh, really?
Has anybody seen that? I've heard it.
No, but it's funny. Alexa's funny. It gives off. Oh, sorry, I was talking over you.
No, it's not. You won't go.
It's like some of the questions asked to Alexa, she gives the most sometimes truthful, sometimes batshit crazy answers. It's weird, but I just wanted to mention about supercomputers, and so a supercomputer works in qubits, which is, I think, is it 1,000 gigabytes a qubit? I'm not sure, but it's really funny. And it's qubit, like QUBIT, same as it is in the Bible. What's that all about? I don't get it. Do you know what I mean?
Oh, maybe that's harking back to some ancient.
It's like, Lance. It's like it was a number 5 slide when I came on your show to do the presentation about the Antera mechanism found in the sea in Greece, and it's an ancient computer. In my view, AI it's weird, but I think AI has been in this realm for a long time. I think.
Yeah.
That's probably the parasite, isn't it?
Yeah.
The parasite,
That's what I think God Vage alluded to that. So this is what Al Gore came up with when I typed in the Soviet Union takeover on this one called DALI. Got some really. I typed in on the right Lord Schwab's plan. Now, when I typed in Lord Schwab's plan, I got some really interesting images, like proper end of the world shit. This one on the left, like what the fuck? The Soviet Union takeover with the map. Look at these. So you've got loads of like sort of obese NPCs. When I typed in Soviet Union takeover, this is what Al Gore came up with. But look at this, Lord Schwab's plan. And it came up with that.
Wow.
Yeah, it was really quite interesting.
I think you're getting replies from Noel Harari from Israel.
I think Noel Harari has sent all these crypto bots into the chat. Like, look at the state of them. They're everywhere.
Bitcoin.
Yeah, the sex bots didn't work. Lord Schwab's plan. Here's some more very abstract sort of like, I don't know. Right, I typed in monkeypox apocalypse. And look what I got. I got black-eyed babies with monkeypox. Why have they got black eyes? Do you remember the story of these black-eyed babies post Britney Spears?
Yeah. Lance, have you seen the video, guys? There's one video, right? And it's a baby boy. Oh my God, I've got it on my PC somewhere. It's a baby boy. He must be like 9 months, a year. He can walk. He's climbing up the fridge. He gets down. He goes out on the balcony. He climbs over the balcony and he looks back in the lounge as he's going down, making his escape. And the look he gives you is like, wow. It's nuts. It's like some of these babies are being born with like superpowers.
I've heard about this. Yeah, babies holding up their heads really young and stuff like that.
Yeah, like 3 weeks old, the baby's like sitting up or something. It's like nuts.
Yeah, well, I thought it was interesting. I mean, obviously, I'm using very low end Al Gore technology to come up with these images. There's much better ones that you got to pay for. But this is what I could get for free. But yeah, guys, have a go. Like, go on Google, just type in AI art generator, and see what Al Gore comes up with, and see how creative it is. I mean,
someone type in Klaus Schwab's lair in Tomorrowland. That's what I want to know. That's another little subject. Honestly, I've heard a couple of people say this. Right? It was. Is it Andrew Tate? You know, the kickboxer.
Yeah.
He speaks. He's good.
I've introduced him in the cage. You know, I met him in person.
Have you?
Yeah.
Have you? I chatted to him. I was going to buy I was watching him. I was going to buy a Bitcoin when it was £8,000. Didn't.
He's all right, but I think is actually a pimp in real life. Like some of the stories he tells.
Yeah.
Like, like an actual pimp.
He made his millions through setting up sex cam websites, stuff like that.
Yeah, that makes sense.
But anyway, watch. There's an episode with James Delingpole. It's a brilliant episode. It's very powerful, very, very masculine. But it's nuts.
Yeah, I met him. I said I've seen some of your videos. I don't agree with everything he says. For anyone that's watching, some of the stuff he said is like super sexist. He's clearly quite misogynistic. But you know, that's the art of the syncretist. You've got to take the rough with the smooth. So we've had a nice diverse chat there. Where
Tom,
we go next?
Have you heard of a? Sorry, have you heard of a? It's a government program from I think 40, 50 years ago called Tetris in the UK.
Yes, vaguely. You're just going to try and spark me into doing some more research, aren't you?
Yeah, try
Lance does that. It drops a little nuance, and then all of a sudden, woof.
Send an email that starts that whole thing.
It's like sometimes you can be talking. Sorry, I was talking over Tom.
No, I'm listening.
Oh, I think there's a delay when I'm watching it. But anyway, yeah, it's like when you're talking to Normie sometimes, what we know, and I've got a very fast hyper brain sometimes, and you can literally dip. You start on like, what do we live in? And you end up on the most random subject. You know, there's so much. It's like we've been overloaded with all of this information. It's nuts, isn't it? You can sound batshit crazy.
Well, but I was listening to someone, I think with James True, and he was saying that the difference between people like, say, yourself and Normie is that we can actually handle the download. people who are watching this, we can actually handle what the answer is.
Yeah, or at least consciously take our own time to try and process and get to where the answer is, rather than just put up the firewalls and use the pre-inbuilt defense mechanisms by accepting whatever level of the the clownery you want to, whichever way.
What do we're able to actually ask questions in the first place.
Yes.
Yeah.
Maybe we've just
you have to know where to draw the line.
We might just have more modern processors installed.
It's like the whole party gate. It's like even this. It depends on your perspective, but it's even with what I know about AI, and it's like everything. You can go from low to high in sort of dangerous levels. So you got Partygate at the bottom. You got the election now. All distractions. Climate change is just another distraction, really, but it's also an agenda. And you keep going up, and then you got China, Russia. But at the end of the day, whatever happens with China, Russia, and the West, AI is still something to worry about. You know, I keep thinking about Terminator. And it's Cyberdyne.
I think it's one of the biggest things we should be looking at of concern for humanity.
Yeah, sort of like it could, in the wrong hands, it could be the universal enemy. Also, it could be something that's, if harnessed correctly, could obviously be a powerful tool. Like anything, it's a double-edged sword.
Well, think about the freedom it would give if we put AI into the workplace as opposed to humans. Think about the freedom we would have, the creativity that would be generated.
The main problem is what we're talking about when it comes to AI is life out of non-life, which is a massive anomaly in creation. Because if you look at everything, it comes from something.
Which is why we should maybe be looking at them as a tool as opposed to another life form. But AI, that's not the nature of AI. I realise that.
Well, it's going to take over, isn't it?
Yeah, this is the problem. Is because it's going to become a life form.
That's it.
So it's going to be life from non-life. So
essentially, it only ever is an algorithm.
From a couple of people there.
Sorry,
I heard some information. Sorry. I heard some information about a couple of people have mentioned that the singularity. Two people said that it's already happened. It already happened in like 2010. That's what I've heard. Well, whether it's true or not, we don't know. But it's it's fully nuts. What's going on?
Well, it depends, I guess, what you think the singularity is. I mean, if you think it's switching on some sort of sentient AI that's running in the background, yeah, that could have already happened. But if it's going to be, the coming together of every device,
the IoT,
digital individuals under the thumb, as I said in one of those lyrics earlier on. That is a forthcoming event. That hasn't happened yet. So it depends.
Steiner spoke about this. He called it the war against all. So if you look at war, it creates a division, a separation, conflict. So if you was to go with the war against all and everything, that basically means that everything will be severed, and then it can be, I guess, swabbed back together as a singularity.
I think you just described the fourth industrial revolution in Schwab's words, didn't you? Blending, breaking everything down and then blending it back together again, swabbing it all together into a big golem, a massive soulless meat sack.
Because it just does what they're told.
Think about this. Let me ask a question: which is more important, construction or demolition?
You could argue both. Demolition means the building of the new.
Well, you can't have one without the other.
Yeah, they have to be balanced. Exactly, the creator, that's Kali, that's Shiva, isn't it? It's the creator and the destroyer.
Yeah, it's like I work in construction. I'm working on a road job at the moment in Southampton, but it's funny, right? It just dawned on me this week. So I take pride in my work. I always do it the right way. Don't do shortcuts, etc. And I'm thinking about, what does it really matter? Because if this reset's coming, then what does it fucking matter?
It matters because of what it does for you. That's what I think. If it's something makes you feel good, like the special touch you put into your work, then that is important for your soul to go through.
It's probably like your carpentry.
Sorry, go on.
That's it. It's like I'm a carpenter as well. If you're a carpenter, you like to make things nice. Everything's perfect, etc., etc.
Yeah, not all of it.
I'm sure Andy.
Yeah, man.
What were you going to say, Lee?
I've forgotten now. It will come back, don't worry.
We're getting to about that time. We're almost 5 hours.
Yeah, I'm starting to get tired.
Baby.
It's a birthday special. I'm sure we're going to have more music from Moment Beast, don't worry.
About that.
So yeah, someone just put in the comments, wow, Master Lee. And I think you were just talking about the balance between construction and demolition.
That's right.
So I guess, if you look at the yin and yang, it has to be 50% of each, doesn't it? To have the balance.
Yeah, I just remembered now.
There you go.
So from a esoteric perspective, if you look at, say, the Silver Age, this kind of artificial reality, it's inevitable and it's going to happen whether we like it or not. It's a stage of civilization that we have to go through. Now, the question is the experience of this artificial reality going to be the same for everybody? You could equally ask the question, if you have, so for instance, some people have the ability to astral project or remote view. Now, how will that factor in with the augmented reality or metaverse? So I'm going with a theory that I'm preparing myself, and I do this in various different ways. So as an example, I have the ability to project consciousness even on a mundane level, and I'm not talking in some kind of abstract terms, going to different dimensions. I just mean literally within this dimension, within my own body. So the exercise where you sense your feet. Well, the majority of the population can't really do that consciously.
Right.
So if you can't direct or project your attention to your feet, how well do you think you're going to fare? How well do you think you're going to be able to travel or maneuver or do anything in a non-physical reality or some kind of metaverse? Because at the end of the day, all this is leading towards, and you can see it already with some of the experiments and some of these things that they're doing, where it's about thought projection. So the ability to control reality by thought alone.
Yeah.
So like I say, I'm going with a theory that we can't stop this. It's going to happen one way or another. So how best can I prepare myself for if I end up in that position? And this literally takes you all the way back to the Holy Bible. It's written in the Holy Bible many times about the situation. So it's nothing new. I don't think any of this is nothing new. It may have happened before. We may already be living in it partially in some way, with our attention, our ability to be conscious. Because also in the esoteric world, the term of evolution is actually humanity de-evolved with the degree of consciousness, and there's always this myth that things are better now than they were before. Well, there may be in some ways, maybe with technology, or not even that, but potentially where we've degraded is in our ability to have consciousness, or to be able to direct or project our attention.
Spiritually, yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's a very important point, because look at some of that augmented reality technology that Microsoft was looking into with Marina Abramovich. It was all about the experience and the thought and the feeling. It wasn't about really observing something. It was about the feeling and the thought. I just wanted to say sorry to Esoteric Knight of Malta, because my tablet just completely died and ran out of battery, so it's on 0, and it's probably a little bit late to charge it up now at this point of the show. So thank you to Rob.
It's like the age of the Renaissance, isn't it? As a culture, they were into arts, music.
I think the Renaissance signifies the start of the reset of every Renaissance. There is every reset is a reset.
or
Start of a new cycle.
coming back after a
Well, look at
reset.
the
The golden
creativity.
age.
Look at the creativity that's happening now. Look at the creativity that's happening in the Renaissance that we know about.
We can all practice exercises, polymathic exercises. So as an example, a very, very simple one. We all know this, but no one ever told us what it really meant. So as an example, when let's say somebody's upset emotionally, a common piece of advice will be something like count to 10. We've all heard that expression, yeah?
Sure.
Count to 10. Now, basically what you're doing by counting, what are you doing? You're using the left side of the brain, using logic. So you're taking yourself out of an emotional state and putting yourself more into a logical state by counting. So that will balance out the
It makes perfect
situation.
sense. Yeah.
Yeah. So by being able to do that, it means that you're not just a victim of your emotions or some kind of external stimulation that's triggered the emotions into a reaction as opposed to a response. So as an example, to remedy that, you count to 10. You put yourself more into the left side of the brain, and you become more logical, which will balance out. That'll be your positive and your negative, the balancing of the forces. So that's just like one simple exercise. Now, to extend that, I mean, we could even try it now if you're interested.
Yeah, why not?
I'll try my best. So, as an example, to be a polymath, being a polymath, you can be a polymath externally, or in the external world, you can be a polymath. So you can be a carpenter, bricklayer, drive a car, be an artist, designer, so on and so forth. Now, we can and we should equally be a polymath internally. Now, what would that mean? What would it look like? It's actually very, very simple, but it's been degraded. So, as a very, very simple example, if you was to say sense your feet, so if you place your attention on your feet, simultaneously you're observing something external. So if everybody's looking at their screen or computer or phone or whatever, tablet, so observe the screen, the visuals. So it's an external stimulation. Simultaneously sense your feet. So you're dividing your attention twice. So that's polymathic. And we all kind of do it, but we do it unconsciously. But now we're going to try and do it consciously. So we sense our feet, we look at the screen, we see a visual. So we're using our senses, we're dividing our senses. Now simultaneously, we're going to splice our attention 3 ways. So you're going to listen to my voice consciously. So you place your attention in your feet, on the screen, and to my voice at the same time. So what you should find, it might be difficult for the first time, but when you practice this, and you can do it anywhere, sitting in the park, sitting waiting for a bus, train. So remember, keep your attention on the feet. Don't forget about the feet. Have full sensation of the feet. Full sensation or visual sensation of the screen. Simultaneously, we're splicing twice our attention. So you're listening to the voice. Now, what you'll find is an expansion of awareness. So you're growing your consciousness. So it's a simple exercise, same way you go to the gym and you may do compound exercises to expand your strength. Well, what we're actually doing is we're expanding the metaphysical side of ourselves. And like I said, it's nothing abstract. It's right here, right now, and it's a direct, realistic experience. Now, once you start to get the kind of gist of that, it will grow and grow. So basically, you can expand your awareness. Now, when you expand your awareness in the correct way, so you're self-strengthening, it's not artificial. Maybe then you can start to use other senses like telepathy. You can actually project remote view. Now, these are baby steps, and I should imagine this is the level that we're at with the algorithms learning from us. It's they call it baby mind. The level of the baby mind.
In its early stages, yeah.
Early stages, yeah. So the exercise that we just did would literally be the baby steps the early stages of the expansion or the strengthening of our consciousness. And it's free of charge, other than you pay by the effort.
The most important currency of all.
Yeah.
Your attention.
And this is the participation of your own existence, and that's what the war is against, because all the time they want to steal your attention. They want to use distraction to take your attention away. So somebody else, listen to this, somebody else could be using your consciousness. Somebody else could be using, or something else, a third party or second party entity could be using your awareness, your consciousness, and you're not using it yourself. So for instance, you're feeding something else, you're feeding your consciousness to something else when you're actually in a state of starvation.
A parasite.
Imagine how many people have had in-depth arguments with bots online.
Yeah.
You're literally feeding your essence into Al Gore, charging him up, teaching him about humanity.
And once again, even right now, how many people can't sense their feet? How many people have lost that full attention on the visual of the screen? How many have lost the attention of my voice or our voices? So it's not easy. We can see how weak we are in terms of our level of consciousness. This is the real work, and it's so simple.
I wondered how long it was going to be before you said, "How are your feet?" Because that's what you did to me in our first conversation. You started that exercise, and then you carried on talking about something else, and then just right in the middle of the sentence, like, "How are your feet?" And I was like, "Damn," because I've been concentrating really hard on my feet. Yeah, I'll never forget that.
So we start in a controlled environment, and as you get a little bit stronger, you can we call it additions. So you add things to it, or you allow yourself to be around greater distractions. So maybe a busy shopping centre. Then you can put movement into it. So while you're walking along, you sense the ground, the bottom of the feet touching the ground, and you may hear the sound of the birds. And we all know the expression about like wake up and smell the coffee. Well, that's kind of instead of just drinking the coffee, you smell the coffee. All we're doing is an expansion of awareness and consciousness, and that's how we grow. We grow our consciousness, or we can do, or not. But if you're not, somebody else is freeloading on your consciousness, because you have a creator's given right to have this consciousness. Now it's up to you what you do with it.
Yeah, not to have it parasited away by outside entities. I mean, think about what the sugar mountain really is about. Zuckerberg
Taking your essence.
Yeah, it's a sugar mountain to attract you
From
with
various
with
platforms.
your attention. So you go there, scrolling, liking, getting the dopamine hits every time. That's just a little bit of your essence trickling
and
away.
again, you're feeding the algorithm
Yeah.
at the same time.
We all do it. Yeah.
And we don't need to be kind of uber spiritual about all of this. I try my best not to be kind of uber spiritual. I can do these exercises, I can do these practices when I'm just doing mundane things. If anything, it's better that way. It's better to do it anonymously. When you're in the waiting room, when you're at the bus stop, when you're whatever you're doing. Start by placing your attention somewhere in the body. The feet is a good place because it's the furthest point away from the brain. You can do it in a stationary position. Then maybe divide your attention once into something else. So you've got two points of perspective to look upon or sense or listen to, and then you just keep compounding it. You have additions, or you add on, bolt on, and then the next stage will be that you extend it. Then you extend it, and you'll be surprised what you can actually hear from a distance when you pay attention.
Fine-tuning
Also what you can
the
see
meat suit.
and what you can sense. So as an example, and this taken into sort of advanced stages, this is where you can start to have extra sensory perceptions.
Yeah.
So instead of sensing your feet, you may be able to combine, synthesize, synthesize your hearing with your physical sensing. So you may be able to what you're listening to, you may be able to sense at a distance. I mean, the potential's there.
Is
All
this
you
where
got to do is have, yeah,
does this open up the door for that synesthesia that we've talked about?
yeah, definitely.
Where the crossing over of it's something that I've experienced only a couple of times. It's very powerful. The crossing over of senses, being able to to taste the colour or to see a sound.
Yep, definitely. And I can guarantee you one thing. That can you still hear me? Can you still hear me?
Oh, shit.
There's 172 people tuned in.
Hello, people. Can you hear us?
Hello. Let's get Master Lee. Yeah,
Salutations.
There he is.
You saved the stream. You did a Logan.
You've done a Logan, mate.
You Loganed it hard. Well done. Nice one.
Because they didn't believe Lee. I was actually saying, no, Lee's got this. He's going to stay online. He's going to keep talking. He's going to do what he's supposed to do, right? And he did. And everyone's like, oh, Andy's gone home.
Yeah, Andy left.
Like, shut the computer. I was like, no. And then he checks his phone and you were still chatting. I'm like, yes, Lee, come on.
That's a good save. Excellent work.
Well, my microphone muted for a while. I'm not quite sure what happened then.
Well, it started with you. It's actually started by you freezing. Oh, right, I'm back here. Yeah, it started by you freezing, and then I looked, and then it was going all yellow and red here, saying bad connection. Then it said no internet. I restarted the router, and yeah, so that's the thing. If it ever happens,
stay on.
As long as you stay on, the stream keeps going, I think. So that's a good little.
That's a bit new feature that Stream introduced. I'm liking it though.
Yeah, it's a good way to save the stream because it actually said here that the stream has ended. You can download it.
It did say it ended.
I mean, I haven't got a chat. I haven't got anyone in the chat, so I don't really know what's going on there.
You have to join the old chat. Oh yeah, is that not the chat there?
No, there's just no chat. Chat stream. The server could not be found, but we've still got 172 people tuned in. So,
do you think it's some kind of cyber attack?
Possibly. I mean, was there bots in the room at the time?
Well, we had. I don't know.
I don't think so.
I mean, I know for a fact no one kicked any wires down here or anything or pulled any connections out. That didn't happen.
Andy did say the router was extremely hot.
No, I think he said that computer was hot. Maybe the router overheated. I don't know. Maybe it's too smoky in here.
No, I don't think it's the smokiness of it. It's never been.
I think it's to do with psychic charge.
Possibly. You were talking about something like that as well, weren't you?
Yeah. Don't get me to operate anything digital or raw treat.
No, we won't. We are going to be broadcasting raw treat. I've actually been speaking to.
Surely not.
Yeah, but properly. We're going to have a laptop there. I'm going to take the Queefmaster Pro. We're going to link the decks directly in, so there'll be a proper feed.
So where are you going to get the signal from? Satellite.
I'm going to have to. You'll have to be off the phone. We'll have to do it in 480.
I went down there the other day and tested. I'm not sure. I think you need to go and
I did it on my phone.
Yeah. Well, let's go and get Skynet. Skylink, whatever it's called.
We've got the equipment.
With Elon Musk.
Yeah, that's it.
We've got the equipment. It's just a case of making sure there's enough connection. But yeah, I think Snell's going to be the media guy that's going to sit there on a nice little director's seat and look at the comments and everything. But yeah, we've got to do it for people.
Maybe we can do like little like highlights of what's going on, like live highlights. That'd be pretty cool. I reckon to broadcast the whole festival.
No, not the whole festival. I mean, like say from 8 o'clock onwards on the main stage.
Yeah.
So you're gonna have a reporter, a raving reporter.
Oh yeah, that'll be me during the day. I'm going to do that. I thought that'd be fun.
The reporter. This is the revelation.
Anyone that comes over to the anti-Coviet lemonade stand will probably be on Rise Above Live during the day. So yeah, well,
Sam Carno actually come up with some really good ideas for how we can do that. Actually, so I think you need to have a chat with him about his idea before we go whacking out the broadcast.
Right. But I think we do need to broadcast as much as we can.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. Sorry, Lee.
At what point did it cut out?
We were just about to drop something heavy.
You were about to say something. You stuck your finger out and you froze, and that was it. I was like, oh, I bet he was about to say something good then.
I think everybody else got it.
Yeah, I mean,
okay, yeah, I
everybody else got
remember now. What I was going to say is, you can be guaranteed of one thing: that the dark occult world, well, the exercise that I just showed you, the dark occult world have advanced this to levels that you will never believe. So, as an example, the dark occultists, they can use it to monitor people. They can read your mind, read your thoughts, and also implant thoughts. I mean, we already know this.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's sort of like
But,
NLP
but
sort of
you
thing
don't
you're
need
talking
you
about.
don't need technology. You don't need these kind of MK Ultra things. I think for the most part, a lot of that is a smokescreen.
I think subliminal repetition is quite a big one of their tools they like to use.
Yeah.
Well, the only way that it could have been achieved so far is by using either something that's in the food, the air, the water, or the mainstream media, or all of them.
Well, the
together.
mind.
I'll tell you how they use it. I'll let you into a secret.
Mm-hmm.
How many people we got tuned in?
164.
Okay. Right. So I guess lots of people will watch this afterwards.
Yep.
Right. So everybody's experienced anticipation. That sensation you get of anticipation. Okay. Now, what is that? It's that kind of midpoint before where you are right here and now and to where you're going to be. Like it's the cushion between the now and something in the future. Yeah. So you could actually describe it as the field of potential. Now, for most people, they don't know how to manage that field of potential via anticipation. I would say most people, especially because of the mainstream media, and what do they try and do? They put everybody into a fear state. Yeah.
Yeah.
So on a daily basis, we've lost the ability to manage that anticipation, and you could describe anticipation as some kind of spectrum. So you got like the low end, like should I have tea or coffee? Okay, so that's kind of almost irrelevant. And then you got the larger things of anticipation, like buying a new house, buying a new car, getting involved in a new relationship, emigrating. You know, that's a bigger part of the spectrum, and it would create a lot of anxiety, a lot of stress. So for as long as you're in that kind of field of potential with anticipation, and you don't know how to manage it, as in how to remain calm, cool and collective, then that's where they get in. And this is why they're using the mainstream media, in fact all forms of media, to get people stuck mismanaging that field of potential, because that's where they can get in and they can alter and manipulate.
Yeah, the state of fear. Like if you're in a state of fear and you don't handle fear very well, for example, you haven't taught yourself how to deal with that, then you're very susceptible to
Well, it's keeping
influence.
everybody operating in the confines of the R complex, the reptilian brain.
It does. You have to look at NLP for this, really, because this is like if you were to understand a bit more about, not you personally, but people in general, to understand more about NLP towards themselves and how it can influence themselves.
It's way simpler than NLP. It's way simpler than mesmerism, hypnosis, or anything like that. Everybody knows what I mean when I say anticipation.
Yeah, for sure.
So it's kind of like a nervousness, and this is where the sympathetic nervous system and parasympathetic nervous system. Hence why. And what happens when you're nervous? It affects your breathing. Okay, you lose control of your breathing. So this is when we practice parasympathetic breathing or conscious breathing. We're bringing ourselves back into some kind of control of that field of potential. Now, for as long as you remain in a state of anxiety in that field of potential, not only this is where the dark occult world can insert the program, not of your choosing. It's also, this is like where the agents of the denying force, or archons, or entities, or you could say maybe artificial intelligence can get in with some kind of attachment.
Okay.
And steer. And now when you go around the realm tomorrow, what do you see? You'll see people wearing masks. You'll see people doing all these bizarre rituals. Now, where did that come from? It's come from the last 2 years, where people have been where? They've been in that field of potential of anticipation, suffering from anxiety. They don't know what to do. So they're very suggestible.
Yeah.
You could pretty much, and this is an experiment. The dark occult world are experimenting on humanity with regards to the field of potential. Maybe in the past they would have used guns, whips, chains, but now they've mastered the art of that field of potential, where they can use direct manipulation by inserting programs and Inception,
Inception,
indeed.
and we can see how people's minds have been incepted. How rogue programs and software programs have literally been inserted into people's daily rituals.
Yeah, and now you're seeing mothers won't talk to their sons, fathers won't talk to their daughters, brothers and sisters don't talk. That's the power.
The breakdown of the family unit is one of their key winners.
That had to be done before by using brown shirts or thugs
or porn
with guns, scaring people into alienating themselves from their friends and family. Oh, he's an enemy of the state, they're a secret spy. But now it's just done with, like you say, much more subtle, but it's actually more direct means.
Yeah.
Direct suggestion, direct implanting.
It's a narrow bandwidth where the agents of the denying force can operate, and it puts you in a state where you're in balance, because you're basically being programmed by dark forces. And this is why I say, like, whatever your dreams, aspirations, imaginations were in 2019, you need to pick them back up. Don't let them go. Start to visualize again, but visualize your own reality, visualize your own thoughts. Don't start visualizing the mainstream media narratives.
Yeah, they've certainly narrowed the pathway, and then what that's allowed is when people start to broaden their horizons again, they're going to be using potentially the mainstream media's ideas of what you should be doing.
Well, listen, I saw it, the kickback that I got as soon as I started to do things like go and perform at festivals which were claiming to follow the rules, flying to other countries. I got a lot of kickback for going on a honeymoon to Mexico because I had to, put a mask on when I crossed the border to get into Mexico. But the fact was, the people that were giving me shit about that, they've been sat at home visualizing the blueprint of the Soviet Union as it's being given to them, when no one can do anything or go anywhere, and they were actually living that out and projecting it upon themselves. And I said to these people, I said, look, okay, you can actually do the Great Reset to yourself as much as you want. You can fulfill Lord Schwab's plans by simply enacting them on yourself. Oh, I won't take part in society. I won't go anywhere that's complying with any of this out of principle. Well, even if you don't have to do it out of principle, well, you're going to be doing his work for.
Yes, they're narrowing their own pathway.
Yeah, exactly.
So let's go a little bit deeper. We won't go too deep, but let's go a little bit deeper.
Now,
so as an example, we had confirmation of the power of heat. Okay, so that's at a distance, and we're using some type of energy. We don't need to go into what type of energy, but there's some kind of spooky action at a distance, as Einstein, whoever he was, said. Now, you've also got the opposite of that. So you can actually make people sick, and this is what dark occultists will practice. It's practiced within the martial arts. So you can actually heal people. You can actually invert that and make people sick.
Yeah.
Once again, that's what we've been witnessing. Now, people kind of have realized that there's some type of hypnosis that has taken place. Okay. Now, most people don't realize or don't understand where hypnosis actually came from. It actually came from mesmerism. I believe it was in 1800s. So mesmerism was a technique where you could affect people from a distance. Okay. Now the science world got hold of it to debunk it, and they did a lot of controlled, blind double-blind, triple-blind experiments with it, and they actually debunked it. And do you know how they debunked it? They debunked it by using the placebo effect. Okay? Now, they actually invented a new form that's greater than that, which is the placebo effect. So mind over matter. So you can actually trick the mind into altering physical material reality.
Like the tablets, you get the sugar tablets, placebo tablets you can get with pharmacies.
So some people will stop there and say, well, it's just a placebo effect. Okay, but do you realize how powerful the placebo effect is?
Yeah, the placebo effect is not to be discounted. It's a phenomena in itself.
I think I believe the Far East use it quite a lot, don't they?
We need to be our own placebo effect.
Yeah,
now
exactly.
Think about that. So rather than be the placebo effect of an external force, we can actually use our own placebo effect via the imagination, via visualization.
I realise that Darren Brown is who he is, but Darren Brown said something which is on a similar pathway about if you don't like your story, change your story. And that's the same sort of mindset, isn't it, really? You're creating your own reality. Yeah, your own narrative, exactly.
Yeah, if life is a movie, don't be sat in the peasant seats in a cheap cinema. Be the director.
Yeah, exactly. The script writer.
Now, just because I've said that doesn't mean to say that when you think something like, I want a better house, better car, that tomorrow morning you're going to wake up in a better house, better car. Well, you've also got to factor in that our ability to actually placebo affect ourselves has been degraded. Our ability to be influenced and affected externally has actually increased, because those who are doing it to us have mastered the art of, guess what? It's social engineering. This isn't nothing mystical. This is what we're witnessing and experiencing on a day-to-day basis. But we can actually change it. But it's going to take a little bit of time. The same with healing. It takes a little bit of time.
It is a form of healing, isn't it, really?
Yeah, this is healing. This is the being prepared, or preparing, and the repairing, the reparation of the self, of the inner functionings of the human. We're in a war, and people have got to. This is what we need to wake up to. We need to wake up to this war. The war isn't taking place in China, in Russia, Ukraine. Well, it kind of is. It's actually taking place. The invisible war is taking place right here, right now.
Yep. There's a war going on for our mind, for our attention, for our lives. Yeah, totally. The final frontier is inside the human minds.
But we can all participate. Yeah, we can all participate in this. Now, you could spend the rest of your life reading occult books, studying esoteric subjects and things like that, alchemy, metaphysics, quantum physics, and everything else. But it's actually a lot simpler than that. Even what I've described right now, we can all participate in. And we can also, so as an example, the more awareness that we get, guess what? You get to see when it's being done to you, because you're more aware. You start to have this almost like a radar, when you can see potential inceptions, programs coming in.
I call it the firewall. Yeah. It's this is something that I think I tried to develop in myself a long time ago, when I realised what was going on with in the media, especially after doing my media studies degree and then learning about all this stuff and really seeing how it was put together, simulation and simulacrum and all that kind of stuff. And yeah, once you do build up the firewall, and you can see the first layer behind everything, and then the second layer, it is kind of shit, because it does stop you from enjoying a lot of things which you were previously able to enjoy, unfortunately. But then you got to sort of enjoy a whole other level of understanding and a different viewpoint and a different altitude, I guess, of being able to see exactly what this construct is. And I tell you what, I mean, I thought when I started doing Rise Above and everything that, I pretty much had it worked out, and I was confident enough to, come on here and talk about it. But my learning curve in the last 2 years has been, exponentially steep, and much steeper than it was in the first 20 years. Even in the last 6 months, like some of the conclusions I've sort of personally come to about how all of this is actually working at a really deep metaphysical level. If I tried to say this to myself 3 or 4 years ago, nah.
It's like anything, the more you study, the more you... I mean, it's been much more intensive studying as well of this subject, of the life as such in the past 2 years than it has been in the past 20, for sure.
It's only quasi-theoretical now because we have so much working examples that's going on in front of us to talk about and to sort of extrapolate from. If you wanted to talk about these subjects 10, 15 years ago, it would have been much more difficult. There's a lot less source material. There's,
Look at what happened to David Icke 4 years ago, I suppose, wasn't it?
Yeah.
It was just under.
Yeah, and now some of the really crazy stuff he said at the start,
It's not so crazy, yeah.
Not so crazy at all.
Yeah.
Like the really crazy stuff. So, yeah, I can still feel my feet.